This is Race Sim Studios' latest mod, the Protech P91 Hybrid Evo for Assetto Corsa. And I have to say, it is absolutely bonkers. Possibly one of the grippiest and highest downforce vehicles that I've ever driven in Assetto Corsa. Prepare to have your brain microwaved when you drive this vehicle, if you indeed do drive it. Now obviously this is coincidentally very similar in appearances, sound and handling to the 2019 919 Porsche Hybrid Evo. But of course, for licensing reasons, those appearances and similarities are merely coincidental. Now, for those of you that are sort of on the fence of whether or not you should buy this, what I would say is maybe you should buy it, maybe not. But there are a bunch of things to consider, which I will go through right now. The first is that obviously I don't think you're likely to find general servers to actually race this car with if you do buy it, and this vehicle is very much more suited to those of you that are looking to do absolutely mental hot lapping, or if you really just want to have something that's almost as fast as a 2018 Formula 1 car, but you could take it around sort of Nordschleife, and you could take this car around the real world Nordschleife in real life. If it was the real Porsche, but it's not, that's merely coincidental. But it's very much a sort of insane hot lapping type vehicle rather than a sort of general race car. We did do about 5 races with this last night, and it was absolutely fantastic fun, but a lot of people were really struggling with it because it's such an insane car to drive. And it sort of lacks stuff like being able to adjust the NGUK on the fly. You can only adjust that in the pit, so you're better off just turning off the deployment to off, and you can't adjust the harvesting modes and stuff. So you're better off just binding NGUKU, a KERS button, having the MGK off, and then just deploying the KERS as you want to. That seems to be the best way of driving it. This car also has DRS, so tracks that have the DRS zones on it, you'll find you can actually deploy the DRS, so you can race with it. We did have some fun racing with it. It was crazy, but it's not really fully suited to racing in general, and a lot of people, as I say, when we were racing it, were really struggling with it. There was like 4 people out of 20 that could drive it cleanly, and even they were struggling. So keep in mind, it's probably not the best of general race cars. But as I say, as a pure hot lapping car and a pure microwave your brain super speedmobile, it's absolutely phenomenal. And where this vehicle really does stand out and is really interesting from a handling perspective is that I think this is probably one of the grippiest and most downforced vehicles that you can currently drive for Assetto Corsa. Now that I think is a negative in some ways, in that because it's got so much grip and so much downforce, you lose a little bit of those sort of satisfying slidey dynamics that you even find in some older Formula cars, or even with like an LMP2 car. This is just so planted. It can be, in some ways, though very fast, it can be a little bit bland in that balancing sense. And I think also because of the downforce and how grippy it is, it also loses a bit of force feedback detail. In some ways, I think that's a negative, but the positive of it is that I haven't driven another car in Assetto Corsa that is as supremely grippy as this, and that has as effective brakes and just mental speed from the KERS deployment. So, though I don't think it's my favourite car handling-wise, it certainly stands out as being justifiable in and of itself, and if you do buy it, I don't think there's any other cars that are directly comparable to it. So I actually, why are you slowing down there? I've just killed him. he slowed down, that's his fault, you don't slow down there. So I actually really quite like that this has novel standout handling to it, even if that handling isn't my favourite type of handling. Hopefully that's clear. Now, with this being an RSS mod, RSS have pretty much established themselves as being one of the best, or one of the top mod teams for Assetto Corsa. The audio is absolutely phenomenal on this. I mean, it really does sound like a proper prototype with a washing machine in it. From the, you can hear the Kers charging up, or the MG UK charging up, the transmission whine, the actual engine note. I mean, genuinely you feel like you're driving a spaceship very close to the ground. It's a spaceship with wheels attached to it. And the audio totally draws you into it. It's fantastically immersive. You could just zone out with this when you combine the noise and the with the speed and the nature of the the vehicle. It's just absolutely phenomenal. It's well worth, when you install the mod, if you do get it, reading the PDF and making sure you have the volume level set up to how RSS recommend it, because that you'll find that actually balances things even better. For those of you that use custom sound setups, you might find that you want to use their settings to get it to sound as best possible. But yeah, if you watch onboards of this vehicle on YouTube, and even similar types of vehicle, you know, it's absolutely fantastic what they've done with the audio here. When you get on the brakes and you hear the transmission and the notes change, really good. So much depth to the audio as well, and it doesn't sound like it's looping, and there's nothing, it doesn't really sound synthetic either. It's just absolutely fantastic. The AI struggling through that corner, that's why we hit the other one. They seem to slow down there. Obviously as well, the actual track model itself, the car model is really nicely done. Really good attention to detail. Texture work, fantastic. Crucially as well, if you like to race with AI, or you're doing a race with people online, they've done a really good job with the LODs and the general performance of this. You can have quite a few cars on your screen without it slowing down. So that's the problem I've had with some mods in the past. But RSS, their cars always seem to actually run really quite well, even if you've got quite a few cars going on. And look at the just look at the texture work in the cockpit as well. Something I really appreciate with some of these paint mods is you can just see that extra work that's gone into the interiors of the vehicle. Let's get over here. The you can see from here on the side. Let's just on the outside of the vehicle. I mean, look at it. Look at the tyre textures. You've got different car skins with like dirt build up on them. You know, I mean, look at that. How could you not be happy with how that looks? It's absolutely phenomenal. This is a really nice, shapely vehicle, I think, as well. Of course, it looks very similar to the 919 Porsche Hybrid Evo, but that's completely coincidental. Let's look in the cockpit a bit more. You really want to get a VI headset on these. I'm just tootling around here. We've got a GoPro on the dash. We've got some suspiciously bad cable work. That's CC's admitted that that's his fault. We've got the track map there. But, you know, it's just that nice quality that you expect from RSS. Unfortunately, I do have the steering wheel turned off here, so you can't see the steering wheel details. My fault. But if you play this, I actually like to drive with the steering wheel turned off. But if you like to drive with the steering wheel turned on, you'll find you've got all the actual display settings on the onboard steering wheel, which are unique to the vehicle, which is really quite nice as well. Let's just restart this again. Those 7 laps went very quickly, I have to say. When you drive this, you really have to, like, get ready for your... You have to overclock your brain. I was having to have a cup of tea per race whilst we were live streaming this due to the insanity of this vehicle. Off tracks, I'd highly recommend driving this. I've not done Nordschleife yet, but Road America, Road Atlanta... Thank you, AI. Road America, Road Atlanta, Spa, Silverstone... Good old Kunos AI there. Good job. There you go. Coming through. Those sort of flowing tracks. Anything that's like a modern Formula 1 track. really, really good with this. But this car actually does surprisingly well over the more bumpy tracks. And I actually found when we were driving this at Silverstone, the car seemed to go pretty well over the curbing. If you're familiar with Assetto Corsa, you often get issues with, especially high-speed cars, especially Formula cars, you get a lot of issues with sweeping corners and the curbing suddenly throwing the car out. But we were driving this at Silverstone and Spa, and didn't really seem to have any curbing issues, which is nice. I don't know if they've done anything custom to mitigate that, but that's certainly something that you like to see with cars in the Assetto Corsa. It's very frustrating when you get that crazy curbing slip accident occurring. Whoa, there we go. Taking advantage of the AI slowing down, and he's gone right round the back round the outside of us. Thank you very much. Now, I'd really like to see more custom servers running with this. It'd be nice to have servers to be able to join. As it is at the moment, I think you're probably going to have to find a group of friends, or if you subscribe to our channel and join us when we live stream, we sometimes, we quite often actually drive RSS cars. Been driving the VRC cars as well recently. But I think that is one of the downsides with the Assetto Corsa, especially with paid mods. It can just be a lot harder to actually jump in and drive what is absolutely fantastic content. Rather depressingly, but that's just Assetto Corsa. You can't really blame Racing Studio for that. But then again as well, I think this car, as you say, is more suited probably to those of you that want to just do blazing hot laps and really see what your absolute record lap time around a track could be. And with this car also having insane brakes, this will really puzzle your brain in terms of trying to work out how late you can brake into a corner and what you can get away with. And it's a lot more than you can get away with with just about any other vehicle. I'd actually say the trickiest thing with this car is probably the aspect of maintaining the speed through the corner. As soon as you get off the throttle, it actually starts slowing down quite a bit. I think some of that is due to the harvesting of the curves, but I think it's also just the character of the vehicle. It just seems to slow down very aggressively, so you really have to drive this like a Formula car, in the sense that you're either on the brake or you're on the accelerator, and you're not really coasting it. That to me is quite a good thing, because it's something it's a bad habit of mine, is that I do coast sometimes too much. But also I've been driving the 90s VRC BTCC cars, and with them you kind of do have to coast because they're front wheel drive and have a very specific way of driving them. So go from those 90s VRC cars to this and your brain is going to be absolutely befuddled. Oh, but look at that. So fun to just drive this and just absolutely cane it through some of these more windy tracks. You get to drive this around Brands Hatch as well. That's another one we need to put on the list. Nordschleife, Brands Hatch. Someone needs to set up a Nordschleife hot lap competition with this car. A question that I get asked a lot by people whilst we were live streaming this is how does it compare to the Assetto Corsa car? It's a different car. I wouldn't compare them directly. The Assetto Corsa car is not as insanity on the downforce, and it's not the same sort of speed. So it is a different vehicle to the AC car. You can't really compare them directly, even if they have a similar name, and you might then think that they were the same sort of car. Honestly, I can't think of another car that's like this in AC, or directly like this. There probably is, because there's every car in AC already. If you know, drop it in the comments. But I think that's about it really for the main points. So is it worth getting? I would say if you like doing a lot of hot lapping, if you want to drive something that's got insane, absolute insanity grip but still drives different to a Formula 1 car, and has absolutely insane braking and is novel in that regard, then yes, it is worth buying. If you want to just do online racing, and maybe if you do AI racing, I think the AI seems to struggle with this car a little bit at times from the messing around I've just been doing recently, then maybe not for racing, but definitely for hot lapping. Or if you're just a fan of RSS cars, or high quality mod cards. It's an absolutely fantastic high quality mod. And for £5 or so, can you really go wrong? I think if you get, for £5, if you get 2 hours, 3 hours of driving out of it, you've got that value out of £5. Maybe as well, actually, if you've got a lower end force feedback wheel like a T300 or G293 or something, you might find this type of car a bit tricky to drive. Though having said that, even though the force feedback is a bit bland, I think it's fine on a DD wheel because you've got that range and fidelity from a DD wheel. But on a lower end wheel, you might find it quite needlessly difficult to drive. But it's very stable and controllable due to the downforce and the amount of grip. So maybe it would be alright on a low end wheel. I don't know. Be interesting to test. Final lap here in this second race. We'll get to the end of this before we finish the video. Worth also saying, make sure that when you install it that you drag the files in manually. Though the file structure looks like it should actually just be able to be installed by dragging it into Content Manager, the PDF instructions specifically say to install the car manually. So I would do what the PDF says. And if you haven't already, you definitely need to get Content Manager. I would highly recommend getting shader patch installed, because I mean, just look how nice Assetto Corsa looks with shader patch. And if you're wondering why the sky looks awesome and the lighting looks absolutely awesome as well, I use Pure, which is the latest version of Soul, effectively. Again, that's worth getting. So you can subscribe to Ilya and I forgot his name, but the guy that does Soul and Pure. You can subscribe to them on Patreon. You'd have to pay much, and then you can get the latest versions of them and enjoy all the weather, rain, and all the advanced stuff, and it's absolutely glorious. So there you go, guys. Not much more to say about this. I just wanted to get a really quick video out after having done the live streaming with this, so you know what it is, so you can watch this as a quick summary of what I think of the vehicle, without having to watch the previous live stream. Great job by RSS. Love their content. You should definitely check out their other stuff. If you don't want to buy anything, there's some free cars on the Race Sim Studio website, so you can try their free content to see what sort of quality level of the quality level of what they produce. But hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you click that like button. Most importantly of all, subscribe so you get spammed with more of our videos. And even more, mostly importantly than that, drink way too much tea. But until the next one, thanks for watching, take care, and goodbye, guys.